Hello, can you hear and see? Can you hear and see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry for the delay. There were a couple of other people who wanted the link to join in. So we'll just give them a couple of minutes to join in.
Thank you.
How are you doing today? What's your name, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm well. My name is Ty.
Ty? Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate you taking the
Thank you
time
for
out of
having
your...
us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, so we'll just give them about 5 minutes and then we'll go ahead and start. All right. So
No problem.
I'll speak for about maybe 20 minutes. And then, and I mean, you guys can kind of chime in and ask a question at any point. It's not like didactic, like I have to talk all the way through. I'm just going to give you, just kind of like a brief introduction of what Islam is all about. And I'll leave some time at the end for any questions that you may have.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Great.
Okay. So for all of you guys joining, I'm also streaming this live on Instagram as well as Facebook. So for all of you guys joining in today, this is a discussion that we titled Welcome to Islam. And this is where we want to take the time out to introduce our non-Muslim family members, relatives, to Islam, co-workers, neighbors, anyone that we know that is not Muslim that we share a space with, who have been kind of watching us practice Islam from afar, and maybe we didn't feel that we had the tools or the articulation or the ability to introduce them to Islam properly. So I think it was incumbent upon us to, just utilize our platform, utilize the platform that we have on social media to be able to invite, our neighbors, colleagues, friends, relatives to Islam. And that doesn't mean, and, for Ty, for you listening and anyone else that's listening that is not Muslim, there's no obligation on you today to become a Muslim. That is not, I think truth speaks for itself. I or no one else has to convince you that, Islam is the truth. I think Islam speaks for itself. So you are under no obligation to, convert to Islam, at this particular moment. If you just want to have a little bit more information, maybe you're on your journey, your spiritual journey, wherever you are in life, and that's fine. But you are in no way, shape, form, or fashion obligated to, accept wholeheartedly what I say or what anyone else says for that matter. So we're going to kind of go ahead and jump on in. I don't see them logging in. And so we're just going to go ahead and start the discussion. So I'm going to say some words in Arabic. Every time I say something in Arabic, Thai, I'm going to explain it in English. All right. So we always start our discussions off with praising God. And for those of you who are Muslim who are listening, I'm going to use God rather than, you're going to hear me say God more often during this discussion, just because this is a language that, people understand more. When Muslims say Allah, people tend to think that we're talking about some God that only Muslims worship. But let me just kind of debunk that theory. And that is that the word Allah in Arabic, it means the only God. And this is what God refers to himself as in his final revelation, which is the Quran or Quran. This is what he refers to himself as. And when you understand Arabic, you know that the word Allah, it just simply means the only God. And that is because God is a generic phrase. It's a generic term that could, when people say God, sometimes they're referring to Jesus. Depending on what religion the person is a part of, they may say God and what they actually mean is someone else or something else. All right. If you're a Hindu and you say God, then you're obviously referring to something or someone else. So Muslims, to kind of separate God from all of the other things that people associate with God, we refer to him as Allah, which in Arabic means the only God. It's not some God that Muslims worship, that no one else, has access to. It's the same God, Almighty, the creator, the sustainer, cherisher, the provider, the forgiver, the all-hearing, the all-seeing, almighty God that everyone innately acknowledges. All right, so that's the only reason why we use the word Allah, but it actually refers to the only God. Okay, so alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. So what we want to talk about today, for the time that I have, is that we want to talk about Islam, not the religion Islam. All right, we want to talk about Islam, and some people say Islam. All right, we want to talk about Islam as not as the religion. All right, but we want to talk about Islam as the lifestyle. And part of what makes people apprehensive about religion is the skeleton, of religion. The rules, the guidelines, the over glamorization of religious consequences, right? Do you follow me, Ty? Does that make any sense? This is what makes people apprehensive about religion, because they're looking at the skeleton, the rules, the regulations, the guidelines, the do's, the don'ts, the over glamorization of religious consequences. If you do this, God is going to be angry with you. If you do that, God is going to put you in hell. If you do that, and we hear this all the time, even in the Muslim community, believe it or not. We are not, as Muslims, we're not impervious to that either. We fall victim to that as well. And this is why education is, very important. Education about religion is very important. All right. So part of what makes people apprehensive about religion.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Just keep your phone on keep your device on mute so that we don't hear what's going on in your background unless you're ready to talk. Okay. So that is, I know for myself, as once being a Christian, you're always hearing about these religious consequences, and you're going to hell if you do this, and you're going to hell if you're doing that. And it just kind of, it really is a turnoff, to be honest with you. It really is a turnoff to religion altogether. And change, I believe, is something that happens internally and is manifested externally. All right. And not the opposite way around. We don't change externally and then it trickles over, transitions from the external into the internal. No, it's the total opposite. We change internally and then it begins to transition and begins to manifest in the physical form. Right. And so if you're constantly bombarding people with religious rules and regulations and guidelines and do's and don'ts, and in the Muslim community is halal and haram, you can do this, you can't do that. And if you do that, then God is going to be angry with you. God is going to punish you. If you're constantly bombarding people with that, the change is going to be external and not internal. And essentially we become walking, contradictions. And this is why you see from religious people, another thing that's a kind of a turnoff to religion is that you're looking at these religious people who are saying one thing, but they do something totally different. So they look like hypocrites. And it's just like, well, why would I want to be a part of a religion? And, this is how they conduct themselves. You're saying one thing, but you're doing something different. And part of the reason why is because they're constantly being bombarded with, religious consequences and, you're going to hell if you do this, you're going to hell if you do that. And so they're trying to navigate on the external, but the internal has not actually caught up yet. Am I making any sense, Ty? Does that make sense?
You're hitting everything on the head.
Right.
Everything on the head.
Right.
Definitely. It's everything on the head.
And so it makes people, it makes people look like hypocrites, and essentially Muslims, here again, we are not impervious to that either, so this is why sometimes you'll see a Muslim saying something or doing something, but it actually conflicts with what you actually know about the religion. You're saying to yourself, well, aren't you supposed to be Muslim? And that is because they are professing something outwardly that their internal has not actually caught up to yet, or may never actually catch up to, for that matter. You know what I mean? So, and we have to be careful with that, especially as Muslims. We have to be careful that we don't force change externally, and we allow it to happen internally. We allow it to happen naturally. And this is one of the reasons why certain rules and, verses from the Quran were not revealed until the latter part of Prophet Muhammad's mission, like women covering their hair, wearing hijab. That was not even a thought at the beginning of Prophet Muhammad's mission. Prophet Muhammad's mission lasted for a period of 23 years as a prophet. And by the end of his 23-year mark, the whole Quran had been revealed at that time. Covering, wearing the hijab, not drinking, or ingesting intoxicants. These things were not revealed until far into Prophet Muhammad's mission and not at the beginning. These things were not revealed at the beginning because Islam wanted to give Muslims an opportunity to kind of acclimate themselves, it was to give Prophet Muhammad's followers an opportunity to acclimate themselves to the religion as a lifestyle and not as a set of religious rules and guidelines, as a lifestyle. This is your life now. This is not just something that, a set of religious rules and rituals and things that we follow when it's convenient for us. This is something that you are going to now infuse into your life until it becomes one with you. And this is why people, as well as Christians, are able to make this separation between my personal life and my religious life. So when I go to church on Sunday, I'm like this, but the rest of the week, I'm like that. And so therefore you become like this walking contradiction. It's like, because you're professing these beliefs, but they are only relevant when you're at church. But the rest of the week, you are kind of like on your own to do you, and I know as a Christian, being raised as a Christian in a Christian home, that's exactly how my family functioned. Throughout the week, my mother, playing bingo with her friends and gambling and going to Atlantic City and, and it's just like all of these things, drinking, smoking, and all of these things, using profanity, eating pork. You know what I mean? Because it's not permissible for Christians to eat pork either, believe it or not. And so all of those things went on throughout the week. And then come Sunday, we're eating from the cracker, we're drinking from the grape juice, we're eating from the body of the flesh of Christ and drinking from the blood of Christ and all of those things. And it's just like, yeah, but the whole week just went by and you were just a straight sinner the whole week. And then we'll say, well, the flesh is weak, but the reason why is because there's a separation between church and state. There's a separation between my life individually and my life as a religious person. And in Islam, we are working every day towards infusing Islam as a religion into our lives. So Islam becomes a lifestyle, not just a religious a set of religious rules and practices and rituals that we do when it's convenient for us. All right. So let's talk about Islam as, as a lifestyle. Christian, thank you for joining me. You were kind of late, so you might have missed a little bit of the first part. So we're just talking about Islam as a lifestyle rather than Islam as a religion. All right. So the first thing that makes any lifestyle worth living is having a central focal point that makes the lifestyle worth living. If you think about any lifestyle, it has a central focal point. It has a focal point that whole entire lifestyle revolves around. Whether a person is a musician and everything in that person's life revolves around the art of music. whether that person is an actor. Everything in that person's lifestyle revolves around acting, the art of acting. Whether you're a painter or you're involved in any type of art, you're a poet. It doesn't matter what your lifestyle is. Even people who are, gay or homosexuals, there's essential, homosexuality is a central theme, which is why homosexuality is a lifestyle, not necessarily just something you do when, you have a certain urge that comes up. It's an entire lifestyle, replete with certain clothing, certain places that they frequent, certain, language, code, that they use to communicate with one another. It's an entire lifestyle. So the first thing that makes, and Islam is no different than that. As a Muslim, you live Islam, not practice Islam. And this is something that I kind of press upon Muslims a lot, because in the past, we've always said, well, I'm trying to practice Islam. If you're trying to practice Islam, that means that you still see the religion as a set of religious rituals and rules and regulations. You still see the religion as a skeleton, rather than clothing the skeleton with flesh until it becomes who you are, your life. So the first thing that makes any lifestyle worth living is having a central focal point that makes the lifestyle worth living. And the central focal point in Islam is God. That is the focal point, which means that as a Muslim, you should be spiritually centered, meaning everything in your day revolves around the remembrance of God, the consciousness of God. We are the only religion in the world that, imposes upon its followers to pray 5 times a day. No, nothing in between that. There's no cutoff. Provided women have certain excuses that, that would absolve them from praying 5 times a day, like when they are experiencing their menstrual cycle, they do not have to pray during those times, nor do they have to make the prayers up after the menstrual cycle is finished. But for men, Muslim men, they have to pray 5 times a day, every single day for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter what situation they find themselves in. They are never excused from abandoning prayer, simply because prayer is, that is your direct link to God. That is your direct communication with God. And so it keeps you is spread out throughout your day. So we pray before sunrise, we pray in the early afternoon, in the mid-afternoon, we pray, when the sun sets, and then we pray again at night before nighttime, before the day is completely over. So as you can see, the prayers are spread out throughout your day so that, you stop what you're doing at a particular time and you remember God. And the prayer takes no more than about 5 to 7 minutes. And you can pray anywhere. God has made the earth a place of prayer. You can pray anywhere. You could pull over on the side of the highway. There's times when I've been at the mall with my family and it's time for prayer and we go find a little area in the mall and, we pray. There's times when I've been in New York walking down the street and it's time for Salah and I have my wife watch my back while I'm praying, on the sidewalk. And and that's a personal choice. Some people might see that as extreme and say, well, I would feel uncomfortable doing that. But it's all based upon where you are in life. I'm not saying that everybody has to do that. I'm just saying that's what works for me. I personally I don't feel comfortable allowing a prayer to come in, go out, and I did not seize the opportunity to, give God his thanks. So as you can see, the 5 prayers, is sorted around the day of the Muslim so that she is in a constant state of awareness of God. Because here again, God is the central focal point of the life of a Muslim. God always comes first, period. And that's what the religion of Islam presses upon anyone who converts to Islam, that God comes first. And so essentially our entire lives, revolve around moving things out of the way so that we can make God first. Our children, we have so many different obstacles that come in between us and putting God first. That becomes our jihad. That becomes our struggle, right? To put God first, because we have our jobs, we have children, we have bills, we have errands, we have, our vacation, things like that. all getting in the way of putting God first. So that essentially becomes our struggle. That essentially becomes our struggle. So when God becomes the central point of your life, it gives your human experience a deeper meaning than just the physical rudimentaries of everyday life. You follow me? When God becomes the central point of your life, it gives this human experience that you have, because keep in mind, you are a spiritual creature having a human experience, not a human being having a spiritual experience. The origin of you and who you are is your soul. That thing that's troubling you right now. Some people right now are finding that they are having some troubling times internally. It doesn't matter what you have externally. You might own your own home. You may have a nice vehicle. You may have a nice job. You may have a slew of friends and, constituents, and that might be all good. But I'm talking about that deep place within your soul that you know that there's a void. There's always this feeling that something is missing. Do you guys, does that resonate? Do you guys feel that?
Yes, it does.
Christian?
Yes, I had to unmute myself.
Huh?
I said, yes, it does. I had to unmute myself.
Okay. So yeah, so you understand what I'm talking about. You feel it. It just always feels like something is missing. And what's missing is that one little component that makes your life, perfect. So making God the central point of your life, it gives your human experience a deeper meaning than just the physical rudiments of everyday life. Rather, all that you do in life now becomes accommodating and complementary to the central theme of your life, which is God. So how? I remember when I first became Muslim, and there was this female that I was dealing with at the time, and I was so enthusiastic about being Muslim, and as it is with anybody, I just embraced this religion and newfound faith, and I tried to introduce her to it. I said, hey, listen, I'm Muslim now, and this is what we believe and this is what we follow, and and she said to me, I'll never forget the words she said to me. She said, some people have to work and pay bills, like what I look like sitting in a mosque all day long praying. And I'm just like, whoa, it hit me hard. And that was her reference point to religion, that is just, Islam is just, just these religious monks who just sit in a mosque all day long, praying all day for forgiveness, praying all day for, and no. So work, marriage, rest, children, vacation, socializing, and all of the things that we do that make our lives what they are, all of these things become complementary. They become complementary to the central theme of your life, which is God. It becomes complementary, right? So work, rest, children, vacation, these are not separate entities. These are not things that we do on the side and then God becomes a factor. These are things that we do in our lives that help us to get closer to God. So work, marriage, rest, children, vacation, socializing, and any other life endeavor provides the right amount of energy that you need to invest in your central focal point, which is God. And understanding Islam in this fashion allows us to see how it syncs with our lives naturally, so that we don't ever feel the need to choose between God and our daily lives. We don't ever feel the need to choose between God and our daily lives. They complement one another. As a matter of fact, they help us to become closer to God. Having children, as a Muslim, having children helps you to become closer to God, because you have now these little creatures that you are now responsible for. And you're not just responsible for raising them, but also responsible for making sure that they have a healthy connection to God. So it forces you as a parent, as a Muslim parent, to learn more, forces you as a Muslim parent to be mindful of, to unlearn more, to learn more and unlearn more, because we have to unlearn a lot of things that our parents taught us, whether directly or indirectly. As a parent right now, my oldest child is 19. I am still unlearning things that was taught to me or taught to me by my parents, indirectly or directly. So as you are unlearning certain things, you are actually learning new things, and all of this is helping you draw closer to God. Someone can say, well, how does having children help you be closer to God? How does marriage help you get closer to God? Because you are seeking a spouse whose spiritual frequency is aligned with your own. You're not going to, and this is where some people go, their relationships go in a different direction, because they seek a spouse or they seek a relationship with someone whose spiritual frequency does not align with their own. And, they're looking at the person, how much money the person has, or how handsome or how beautiful the person is. They're looking at external factors, but not looking at the internal factors. And that is that, there's a saying that Prophet Muhammad says is, souls are like conscripted soldiers. Those that they have, a connection to, they will have an affinity to. And those that there's no connection, they will separate. And you have to look for the soul that you have an affinity to. That, you find that the energies, the frequencies align, And so essentially all of these things become complementary. So the central theme of Islam is a phrase that our entire religion revolves around, which is La ilaha illallah. There is no deity, no God that deserves worship other than God. There's no God that deserves worship other than God, meaning you make God the central theme, the central focal point of your life. God comes first. Even before your own desires. We have things that we desire in life, but if God says something contradictory to that, then now that becomes a conflict, because this is what we want to do. This is what God, wants us to do. So now you have to choose. And obviously, if you choose yourself over God, you're always going to end up in a bad situation. I promise you. And I'm sure that you guys have lived long enough that you know that. I am sure that you guys have lived long enough that you know that already. All right. So that is pretty much what makes a person a Muslim, is that they acknowledge that God is the only one worthy of worship. And then the second part of that is to believe that Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him and his family, is the last and final prophet. We believe in Jesus. We believe in Moses. We believe in Abraham. We believe in Isaac. We believe in Ishmael. We believe in all of the prophets, Noah. We believe in all of the prophets and messengers. But we believe that those men were selected by God to bring people back to the worship of God. Not to individually go off and start to call people to worship them. That would be counterproductive to the whole purpose of them being a prophet and a messenger. The whole purpose of a prophet and a messenger is to be sent to bring people back to the worship and servitude of God, not to worship and serve them. That would make their mission counterproductive. And then, this whole idea that Jesus is the Son of God and Jesus died for the sins of mankind. In Islam, we don't actually believe that Jesus was killed. We believe that and even Christians amongst themselves differ on this point. This is not a universal belief amongst all factions of Christianity. That there are some that don't believe that who was killed on the cross was actually Jesus. And as Muslims, we believe the same thing. The Quran clearly states that they did not kill Jesus. They killed someone who looked like him. All right. And we do believe, like many Christians believe, that Jesus will come back towards the last days and he will fight the Antichrist and he will restore order to the earth. Those are all beliefs that are in sync with the beliefs of Muslims. But we don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. We believe that Jesus himself was a prophet, a messenger, a servant of God himself who was sent, chosen to call people back to the worship of one God. We believe in the immaculate birth of the immaculate conception, that he was born without a father, but that doesn't necessarily make him God's son. Allah says in the Quran, there's a verse in the Quran where Allah says the example of Jesus being the son of God is like the example of Adam. He created Adam from dirt and then said to him, be, and it is. So why is it that we would ascribe fatherhood to God as it relates to Jesus being born without a father, but not do the same thing with Prophet Adam? Adam was born without a mother or a father. And if God can create a human being without a mother or a father, then for sure he can create a human being without a father. Right now we have in vitro, where we have technology where a woman can now conceive without the actual act of her engaging in a sexual, act that would produce a child. She can receive, through technological advancements, she can receive, a shot. She can receive, that particular process, and she can, conceive. She can produce a child, and this is recent technology. And so this whole idea that Jesus being the Son of God, we don't accept that. We don't believe that. We believe that Jesus is the son of Mary. And all throughout the Quran, every time God mentioned Jesus' name, he always says, Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, the son of Mary, Jesus, the son of Mary, Jesus, the son of Mary, to drive home the point that he is the son of Mary, not the son of God. All right. Even going back to the belief about the original sin that Adam ate from the tree. This was all the, rhetoric that we were fed as Christians growing up, that Adam ate from the tree. And so therefore he was cast out of paradise. He was cast out of heaven. And every child born to Adam from that point forward is born in the sin of Adam. And therefore generations later, which you have to ask yourself, if God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son to die for the sins of mankind, what about all of the sins of the people, that were born in sin from the time of Adam to the time of Jesus? There was only 500 years between Jesus and Prophet Muhammad. So from Jesus all the way back to Adam, that has to be eons, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son thousands and thousands of years later to die for the sins of mankind in the past or in the future. Because what about the people whose sins came before Jesus, long before him? What about them? Did Jesus' blood purify them from their sins when they were thousands of years before Jesus? The concept itself is just not spiritually digestible. The concept itself is not spiritually digestible. It doesn't sit right with your soul. If you dig deep within yourself, you can tell yourself deep down in your soul, that just doesn't sit right with me. In addition to the fact that why would God hold Adam's children, his progeny, accountable for a sin that Adam committed? Why am I accountable for the sin of someone else? And someone say, well, Adam is the father of mankind. Got it. But even my own biological father, is he not responsible for the sins that he commit, and I'm responsible for the sins that I commit? If that is between me and my biological father, then what about me and the father of mankind, who I never met and probably never will meet in this lifetime? It's just not spiritually digestible. Do you guys agree with that? Or you have a different take on it?
No, I agree.
I mean, it's just that's just the logic of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was unmuting myself to say, yeah, I agree. I'm going to say I didn't grow up with religion at all. Right?
Okay.
I wasn't forced to choose religion. My mother, I can believe she said she was Baptist. I can count on my hands how many times my mother went to church.
Right.
And I'm 41. I will be 42.
Okay.
My father, in the 80s, it was, he was from Newark, and there was a thing in Newark where everyone was Muslim, right? So he said that he was Muslim, although he did not practice and he did not live as. So I didn't grow up with religion, right? So the stories that you're saying now, the only thing that I knew anything about was the apple. The only
The
thing
story of the apple, right?
I don't know any of the prophets. I don't know. When it comes to Christianity, I have no clue.
Right.
I have no clue at
Well,
all.
I appreciate that
I
honesty.
know that I never felt it in my soul. Right. If anyone would try to preach to me or say something to me, I never felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Never felt it in my soul at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I just knew I didn't believe in it. I didn't, even as a kid, never felt it.
Well,
Never went towards it. So
that actually might be a good thing, because that means that your slate hasn't been tarnished with previous beliefs that you got to kind of sift through. You got to unlearn, as we were talking about. Go ahead, Christian. You have something you want to say?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like the opposite. So I went to Catholic school from 1st grade to 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that whole side of religion. And I grew up Baptist. So during the week, after school was different. And then Sundays. First Sunday we had church from 6 a.m. to about 6 p.m. all day long. And then my friend Takia of 7 years, she's always practiced the Muslim religion, so I always ask questions, and she always tells me things, and she let me know about you. So then, boom.
Okay.
Right.
So
and I said, I stumbled across. I said it wasn't by chance.
Right.
I stumbled across, right?
Nothing by chance. I agree.
It wasn't by chance. This is something that I have been wrestling with, and like I said, just my inside is just like wanting to know more, right? Wanting to learn more, wanting to know. And when I saw this, I'm like, this is perfect. I did see something where you had posted something where if it was women wanting to join Islam, you can connect them with another female just to maybe for guidance, right? Because like you were saying, the lifestyle, right? That's definitely what I want to make sure is in order. The lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Because as you alluded to prior, the do's and don'ts, right? You hear things that you don't know what's right? You don't know what's wrong. I know Islam is the only religion that if someone says that they're Muslim, you get 20 questions. Well, when did you become Muslim? But if I say that I'm Christian, it's expected, right? You don't get any questions. You don't get any. You're not getting the 2020. I'm like, well, if I would have said that, this is what I believe, then you would have said nothing. It would have been fine.
Right.
But if I say that Muslim is what I believe or what I want to do,
because there's a certain mystique about a person that says that they're Muslim, especially if they are actually practicing their religion. There's a certain mystique about them. It's just like, what is it about this person? Let me ask this person, because I read this and I read that, and let me plug my computer in before it dies. Yeah, so there is a certain mystique that comes with a person saying that they are Muslim, that drives a person to want to know more about what it is they believe. I was the same way when I was first introduced to Islam by a friend of mine, and I saw him kind of washing himself for getting ready for prayer, and I had never ever seen anything like that in my life. That he's kind of washing his arms and his face and over his head, and he's putting his feet in the sink, and I'm like, what in the world is he doing? And I'm like, yo, what are you doing?
Yes.
So it kind of drew me in. There's a mystique there. It drew me in, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude? And he's like, I'm getting ready for prayer. And I'm like, what prayer? I'm Christian all my life. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Right.
So there is a certain mystique about a person who is actually practicing Islam that I think that is a magnetic pull. It pulls people into you, and maybe God intended it for it to be that way.
Be that way. Yep. Nothing's by chance.
Absolutely, nothing is by chance. Jermaine, you joining us? Do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'm here with. I was just basically listening. It is my first time, so I'm learning. I'm trying to get some more information as well too.
Okay.
My friend Muslim.
Okay.
Seeing your video that really inspired me to just basically reach out to see what am I missing? What kind of information can I get? I have a few books here too that I do look over. But as far as really getting in depth with it, I would love to learn more because I started as a Catholic. I got baptized and everything in a Catholic church, but I wanted to branch out to learn different religions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So from there, I went to being a Christian, just learning, what exactly am I? It feels to me, like I'm searching for belief.
No, you already have belief. You are searching. You are trying to make a connection to that belief. That belief is innate. It's already there. It has always been there. It has always been there throughout your entire life, from the moment you were cognizant of the fact that there is a God or a higher being or something greater than yourself out there. It has always been there. You're just trying to connect the dots. That's what we spend our entire lives doing, trying to connect the dots. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What happened? And eventually, as you connect those dots, they eventually lead you to God. And then when you find God, it's just like there's so many different religions out there. It's like, all right, I came to a point in my life where I was like, okay, Christianity, that doesn't sit right with me. My soul has not welcomed these beliefs because they just don't sit right with me. So I just made it a point to say, well, I believe in God. I know that God exists. I know that he's there. I speak to him. I talk to him in my own way. And I'm just watching for the signs. And I'm just asking God, to guide me. I don't know where I'm going. And that's the difficult part about not actually being attached to a religion. It's just like you believe in God. You just don't know how to manifest that. How do I manifest that? Some people say, well, I'm spiritual. I don't necessarily need to be religious.
Praying is one thing that I also do. I also do love to. I enjoy praying. As much as I can for everything that I do.
Right.
For everything I receive, I feel like it's a blessing. So I appreciate everything that I do receive. So I pray to him for that. But now my issue to that is that I was told I can't become a Muslim because I have locks.
Oh my God, man. Let me repeat that for you because Muslims need to hear this, man. I hope you guys are listening. Jermaine just said that I always thought that I could not be a Muslim because I have dreadlocks. And you got to ask yourself, so let me ask you, Jermaine, because we have Muslims listening here, and I want all of us to walk away feeling horrible about this. This is sad, man, that there should never be an obstacle, something as insignificant and minute as having a particular hairstyle that should be able to stop you, that should be an obstacle between you and God. No way, ever. Something as simple as a hairstyle that becomes a complete hurdle and obstacle between you and God and you embracing the religion of Islam. He said, I didn't think that I could become a Muslim because I have locks. Brother, locks will never stop you. I don't care if Muslims told you had to cut your locks. If you said, I'm not cutting nothing, but I profess belief in one God and Muhammad is his messenger, brother, you are a Muslim. I don't give a damn what anybody tell you. I don't care what nobody says to you. Nobody can say to you that you have to do this before you can become a Muslim. No, man. Not at all. Now, unless you are, Rastafarian and your dreadlocks kind of have some type of religious value and there's a belief that is attached to that. Like, for example, Sikhs, they grow their hair out long and there's a religious sentiment that is attached to their hair. It's not just they're growing their hair out long, but there is a belief that is connected to that. Then that's something different. Then we can deal with the belief. But the hairstyle itself should never become an obstacle between a human being and their getting closer to God, ever. Ever. And if anybody ever told you that, I would not want to be that person when they stand before God. How do you answer God? When he asks you, you turn somebody away from my religion, from, getting to me because of a hairstyle. Like, come on, man. No, not at all.
I appreciate it.
Not at all. All right. So essentially, this is what Islam is. Islam is the belief that God is the only one worthy of worship, without any partners, without any sons, without, and Muhammad is his last messenger. And Jesus was nothing more than a messenger, just like all of the other prophets and messengers who came before them. That is the essential theme of Islam. Everything in our religion revolves around those two principles. That's it. And then afterwards, you begin your own individual journey to finding out deeper matters of the religion. We all start at zero when we come in. It's like Instagram. Some people got 1.7 million followers. Some people got 3 million followers. Some people got a mere 287 followers, right? But everybody starts at zero. The day you open up your Instagram account, everybody starts at zero. And then it's on you how you nurture your social media in order to get these amount of followers later on. It's on you and what you do with it. And that's the same thing with the religion. Everybody starts at zero. Everybody comes into the religion not knowing much except what the person who introduced you to Islam told you. And then once you embrace the religion, now that sets you off on another journey. And that is to seek deeper knowledge about the religion, because you have an affinity to this faith that you said you believed in. And depending on how deep you want to swim, depending on how deep you want to dive, depending on how far you want to go, the sky's the limit. When I first converted to Islam, I didn't know Arabic. I didn't know how to read the Quran in Arabic. I didn't know much about Prophet Muhammad's life. All that I knew about Islam is what the person who initially introduced me to Islam told me. And now that same person who introduced me to Islam, 20 something years ago, is now one of my students. You understand? And that's just the way that it works. That's the way that it goes. All on.
But as far as getting started though, what do I do? Where do I get information? I mean, I have you now.
For as long as I'm here, yeah. Okay. Well, the starting place, number one, Brother Jermaine, the starting place is, number one, if you believe that this way of life is the truth, is to not reject that. Because procrastination, as it was said, my wife just said this to me the other day, procrastination is the arrogant thought that God will give you another chance, another opportunity. That's procrastination. I'm going to put it off tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it later. That comes from this arrogant attitude that God is going to give me another opportunity. And another opportunity may not come. So if you believe that all of what we are talking about here today, if all of this resonates with you, then my question to you right now, for all three of you guys that are here right now, what are you waiting for?
I'm not waiting for anything really.
So if you want to embrace this religion, you can do that right now. And then once you do that, then you go off on your journey. And I mean, we will provide you with books and references and places where you can go and you can seek knowledge. But one thing I want you guys to understand is a mistake that I made and many Muslims have made prior to converting to Islam. Don't ever leave. Don't come into the religion and leave your intellect at the door. Bring your common sense with you. You're going to see people doing all types of stuff. Muslims are not impervious to the deviations and the additions and subtractions to the religion over time. We are not impervious to that. You're going to find Muslims doing weird things. You're going to see people doing stuff, and you're going to be like, but don't charge that to the religion. You know what I mean? Like, don't charge that to the game. Like, that's not the religion. Those are people who chose, because misguidance is a choice. God always sends you signs, always. And it's your choice whether you choose to ignore those signs or you choose to follow those signs. God always sends you signs before he leads you in the path that you choose for yourself. So you embrace Islam, you still have to use your common sense. You are still responsible for using the intellect that God gave you. So if you are reading a book and something just doesn't sit right, doesn't seem like God could ever command somebody to do something like this, then it's upon you at that moment to kind of use your own rationale and say, well, maybe this might be some false information. Let me go check with somebody that's more knowledgeable than me, so I don't read something and just be like, that's a complete turnoff. All right. But if you would like to become Muslim, we can do that right now, and you can begin your own journey, and we'll provide you with books and material, and everything that you need is plethora of books. My whole living room is a library. Both of my living rooms are libraries, bookshelves and books from wall to wall, literally. I don't have fancy pictures hanging up on my walls. I don't have fancy paintings. I have books that decorate my walls. I'm an avid reader, and one of the things that led me to go overseas to study Islam was because I hated crumbs. I don't like to be fed crumbs. I don't like people feeding me crumbs off of a table, and I'm just kind of accepting that. Nah, I want the whole cake. I'm going after the whole thing. I don't want the crumbs that you're giving me, because eventually they're not going to be enough for me. Eventually, I outgrow the crumbs that you are handing to me, and I have to go off on a journey, and I have to get this for myself, So, if that's the case, you want to become Muslim, we can do that right now, if that's what you want.
I'm ready.
Christian, you still need some time, or? There's no pressure. This is your life, your journey. Don't let me pressure you into anything. Please, I told you that from the beginning. If you need more time to think, right ahead. Take as much time as you need. Take as much time as you need. Because it's not about, I converted to Islam. Islam doesn't need followers, in number, in mass. We need quality, sincere, genuine people who do it from the heart, do it from the soul. Because those are the type of people that become Muslim and impact environments, impact people. They become effective people. We don't want people to come to Islam and still kind of on the ropes. I don't really know if I should have did this or that. No. I remember when I first became a Muslim, right? It was like maybe a month or so. I was 20 years old when I became Muslim. And I remember I was in prison when I converted to Islam. And I remember waking up in my cell one day, maybe a month or two after I became Muslim. And I remember waking up and I said, I don't want to do this anymore, man. I think I made a mistake. I remember having this conversation with myself. And I was like, man, I think I made a mistake, man. I don't know if I really want to go through with this. Seemed like it's too many rules, too many, I love the structure. I just felt like in that moment, I made a mistake. And obviously that was nothing more than the devil speaking to me in that moment, because if I would have decided that I made a mistake, what was I going back to except this type of lifestyle that landed me in the situation to begin with, right? So you got to understand when God is talking to you and when the devil is talking to you. You got to be able to discern that. And I stopped for a moment and I had to have an honest conversation with myself. And I said, well, you were the one who said you believed in this. You were the one who said you wanted to become a Muslim. You were the one who did all of this. Why not follow through with that? This is your belief. This is what you said you wanted. And now you want to back out of it because it seems like, you know, the end of the tunnel is just, the stretch is so long, you know. Carry through with what you said you were going to do. And from that day forward, I never look back. I never look back. 5 prayers a day. I have never missed a prayer in my life. 5 prayers a day for the past 24 years of my life. Never missed fasting in Ramadan. I never missed a prayer. Nothing. This was discipline that I imposed on myself because I felt like I was disappointing myself. Even, you know how people become Muslim in jail and they call home and they're telling moms and grandmoms that, you know, I'm Muslim now and blah, blah, blah. I never did that because I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to follow through with it. And I didn't want to look like a hypocrite. You know, I didn't want to look like a hypocrite in front of my family. So I never actually told my grandmother. My mom was deceased, but I never told my grandmother. I told my sisters only because we're closer in age and they kind of understand. But I never said anything to my grandmother, either my mother's mother or my father's mother, who are both staunch Christians, and both of them are deceased now. But I never said anything to them. And I never forget when I walked up to my grandmother's house after I was released from prison. And then my grandmother opened the door and she saw, you know, I was like 24 at the time. So my beard wasn't as big as it is now, but, you know, it's a small beard, but you can see it was, you know, it was growing. And my grandmother said, what is this religion you're a part of? I said, I'm Muslim, Grandma. And she was like, yeah, I wonder how long that's going to last, right? My grandmother was very straightforward, cut no corners with me. And my grandmother just died, you know, within this year, a few months back from, well, she was kind of older, but I think COVID or sickness had something to do, had a part to play in it. But prior to this year, the year before, I went to go visit my grandmother. And I said, Grandma, remember when I first came home as a Muslim and you asked me 20 something years ago how long that was going to last? And she just looked at me and she was like, boy, shut up. You know, because she realized at that moment that it wasn't, I was dead serious. You know, I was dead serious. I could not have been more serious in my life. Dead serious, you know, and that becomes your individual responsibility. So if you need time, not a problem. Take as much time as you need. But if you realize that this is the truth and the only thing that you're struggling with, is tussling with, is transforming your life, that's a process that we all have to go through. That's not going to happen overnight. And that goes for Jermaine and Ty. That is a process. Nobody expects for you to become this ideal Muslim overnight. That is something that 20 years into being Muslim, I am still struggling with myself. And any Muslim, you know, will tell you the same exact thing. It's a day-to-day struggle. Same soul, different struggle. Period. Okay, so if Jermaine and Ty, if you guys are ready to become Muslim, then you guys can repeat after me. All right, I'm going to say the phrase in Arabic. You can repeat after me, and then we'll say it in English. Okay? You ready?
Ready. Say it slow in Arabic.
I got you. I'm going to say it slow. All right. Ashhadu.
Ashhadu.
Jermaine, you with me? I'll come back to him after we're done. All right. Ashhadu.
Ashhadu.
An la.
An la.
Ilaha.
Ilaha.
Illallah.
Illallah.
Wa ashhadu.
Wa ashhadu.
Anna.
Anna.
Muhammadan.
Muhammadan.
Rasul.
Rasul.
Allah.
Allah.
I bear witness.
I bear witness.
That there is no God.
That there is no God.
That deserves worship.
That deserves worship.
Except Allah.
Except Allah.
And I bear witness.
And I bear witness.
That Muhammad.
That Muhammad.
Is his messenger.
Is his messenger.
That's it. Welcome. Welcome to Islam.
Thank you.
And in our tradition, Prophet Muhammad told us that when a person converts to Islam, all of their past sins are forgiven. Because this is you renewing your relationship with God. So it's not like you're born again Christian. You're not born again because we don't believe that you were born in sin to begin with in order to be born again. We don't believe any human being is born in sin. As a matter of fact, Prophet Muhammad said that one of the pillars of Islam is to make Hajj, the pilgrimage to the first mosque that was built for the worship of one God in Mecca. Whoever makes the pilgrimage to Hajj at least one time in their life, they will return home like the day that their mother gave birth to them, meaning free of sin. That means that as Muslims, part of our belief is that we don't believe that the human being is born in sin in order to be reborn again, right? We don't even believe that children are born in sin. We believe children are born pure and that they are not accountable for what they do all the way up into the age of puberty. Once they become pubescent, then accountability starts to be taken, for them, because they now have reached the age where they can decipher, right and wrong. They can discern good from bad, right from wrong. They know. And so it's at that point they become held accountable. From pubescent years on back to birth, there's no accountability. And any child that dies, in between that time, we believe goes straight to heaven because they were not born in sin. So it's not that you are reborn or you're born in, no. It's just that you have now come back to God. You have now renewed your consciousness of God. And that is rewarding. Why wouldn't God reward you? You went through all of what you went through to reach this moment. And from this point forward, moving forward in your life, everything becomes about him. Why wouldn't he reward you by wiping away, all of the sins and mistakes that you've done in your life previously? It's the ultimate sacrifice that you're making right now, just by being conscious of God. So consciousness of God is rewarding within itself. Jermaine, you ready? Jermaine?
Yeah, I am, but I'm having a full connection problem.
I can't hear you. Say it again.
No, I said I am, but my connection is not really good at the moment.
I can hear you now.
I'm actually on the road.
I can hear you now. Let's go ahead and get it over with so that way, and then we'll connect after this is over.
All right. Nice.
You ready? You can repeat after me. Ashhadu. Maybe his connection went out. Jermaine? Okay. I have his information anyway. We'll connect after this. Okay, Ty, if you could email me your phone number, and I'll put you in touch with a sister who will kind of help guide you along. And Christian, please, I don't know if you have any questions that you would like to ask me at this point. Any questions that you've ever had about Islam. It doesn't matter what the question is. If I can answer it, if I can provide you with the answer, I will. And Ty, there are Muslims online right now on Facebook, Instagram Live. They're all welcoming you to Islam. They're all praising you and thanking you for...
I think I have too many, so I'm going to email you.
Okay. Well, the thing is that the questions actually would help other people, because who knows, maybe some other people had the same questions. So you have a lot. Give me 2. I'll take 2.
Okay, 1. I'm a makeup artist. I know that we're not supposed to wear makeup, or that's what I've heard, so I don't know if that's a thing like Jermaine, but I don't know if I can give that up.
No worries. Don't worry about that. She said that she's a makeup artist. And sisters, I want you guys to hear this. One thing that you said, Christian, that just kind of made me feel good. You said that I am a makeup artist. And I don't know, but I think we are not supposed to wear. It's like you're there, you're already in it. You just haven't taken that final step. So, and maybe you didn't realize that you were saying that, but you're speaking as if you are already a part of the Muslim community, which is cool, which is good. You're already there mentally. You're just waiting for your physical to catch up. You're there spiritually. Okay, so makeup, the issue with makeup, it's not that Muslim women are not allowed to wear makeup. It's not that they're not allowed to wear it. It's just that moderation in everything. Moderation is a key component in our religion, as well as modesty. Like a woman should not come outside with her face dolled up, seeking attention. And this is especially true if she's married, because her husband should be able to give her all of the attention that she needs, so she doesn't feel the need to doll herself up like that, in order to seek the attention from outside. She should be able to get all of that attention from her husband. I mean, if he's seeing you at your worst, seeing you at your best, seeing you at your worst means nothing. It means nothing.
I think as I look at it as two different ways. Like, one, my face is my walking business card, and two, I don't know. It's just like, it's my trade. It's
Well, you do your makeup. Do your makeup.
I also know that, like, when I do cover, like, it's an eyebrow and a lash, maybe some freckles, and I'm good to go.
No, it's fine.
Cute, because everything else.
The thing is that while that is part of your work, part of your passion, in parallel to that is your own spiritual journey. So there are things that you are naturally going to outgrow, period.
Yeah.
There are things that you are going to just by virtue of the fact that you are on, this spiritual journey. You get up every day. So your physical and your spiritual are kind of like aligned. Physically, you're getting up every day. You put on makeup. You go to your shop. You're doing makeup. That's your physical path. But then your spiritual path is going somewhere else, And sometimes, in your spiritual journey, things that you do to satisfy the physical will no longer have that place in your life. It's no longer going to be that important to you. And that's part of your own journey. Nobody can say, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Or at least they shouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. The only reason why I'm even entertaining the question is because you asked. But I would have never said anything about makeup. Do your makeup. That doesn't stop. Here again, the same thing with Jermaine with the locks. That shouldn't stop. That should not become a hurdle to you getting to God. That is a phase in your life. I don't think that you're going to be 60, 70 years old, still rocking makeup. Like, it's not going to be the same as it was when you were 30 and 40. Like, even now.
I don't have a whole separate room. I might just have, like.
Right, exactly. You outgrow certain things because of where you are spiritually. I used to wear gold. I used to wear a gold chain, link, when I was in a teenager, in the 90s, and, watch and rings and things like that. And when I became a Muslim and I found out that Muslim men cannot wear those things, I just stopped wearing it altogether. There were some people who still wore like silver bracelets. They still trying to compensate. I like gold. And if I can't wear gold, I'm not wearing anything. So you don't see anything. The most I wear is a watch, and that's it. If I can't wear gold, I'm not going to wear anything. I'm not going to compensate for it because that's not what I want. And now I don't have a desire for it. It's I actually think it's very feminine for men to wear jewelry. Because men should have a natural mystique to them. They should have a natural masculine energy that, you don't find a lion bedazzling his mane. You know what I'm saying? Like, the mane is what attracts the lioness. That's just what it is. He doesn't need anything additional. I'm not trying to appeal to other men. I'm trying to,
Men already have the better eyelashes.
They already have some natural qualities that are already, and it's not even how you look as a man. It's the energy. It's the energy that pulls the woman in. You might see some of the most non-handsome guys with some of the prettiest women, and they're not with them because of their looks.
Been there.
You know, it's a certain energy that they carry with them. There's a certain swag that they have with them that naturally pulls the woman towards him. So no, the makeup, that should, here again, that should not stop you from connecting with God at all. At all. One more.
One more. I don't know. I think you kind of answered it when you said, like, it's a journey. Like, daily, you still, like, struggle with your journey getting closer every day. Because I'm just like, you don't want to go into something and be like, there ain't no such thing as halfway crook, so you can't be halfway Muslim if you want to. Like, so I've already gotten it. I usually cover. I post pictures. My friend was like, stop posting pictures. You stop wanting questions. I was like, but I used to post pictures every day, so why not post pictures? My outfits are so fly. Do you not realize how everything matches now? And she was like, oh, goodness. And I'm like, you're yelling at me because my baby hairs are out. Like, baby hairs, still covered, still cute. Like, we're getting there.
We're getting there, right? I'm a work in progress. I am a work in progress. Absolutely. That's where you are right now. I mean, even with myself and dealing with the Muslim women in our communities, yes, the ideal would be for them to be completely covered, hair covered, no baby hair sticking out. You know, abayas, their garments are loose so you can't see the form and shapes of their body. That is ideally where we would love for Muslim women to be, but everybody is on their own individual path, and we don't live in an ideal world. And Islam meets people where they are. Wherever, if that's where you are, that's where the religion is going to meet you at. But just because that's where you are doesn't mean that a year, 2 years down the line, that's where you're going to be. Because to be human means to evolve. If you are the same place that you were today, that you were last year, that means that you have not evolved. That means that there's something about you that is dead, because the only thing that doesn't grow is something that is dead. Anything that is living, anything that is alive is evolving every day. So if you are the same person today, you take Shahada, and you're the same person a year from now, then that means that there was no evolution. You didn't evolve. And that within itself is problematic. That's not the religion, that's you as an individual. Anything that is alive is evolving. A plant, vegetables, you name it, anything that is alive, a tree is evolving, period. The only thing that doesn't evolve, the only thing that doesn't grow is something that's dead. So just because that's where you are today doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be next year, you know? Jermaine, are you with us? Okay. All right. So, Ty, if you could please email me your phone number and I'll have someone reach out to you. Christian, I really appreciate you taking time out and, sharing with us and, listening. And I hope to hear more from you, and if you have any questions, you have my email, please reach out.
Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. My pleasure. Jermaine, please reach out to me, man. So once you get better service so that we can square you away, inshallah. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all.
I don't know if you still say it, but congratulations.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Congratulate her. Absolutely. That is definitely something, a triumph. That's definitely something that, should be congratulated and acknowledged. Absolutely. And there's a whole world of Muslim sisters waiting to greet you and to welcome you. All right? You guys enjoy your night. Enjoy your night. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. So, now that we have that squared away, I want you guys in the Muslim community to be aware of some of the things that, we put out in the Muslim community that makes people who are not Muslim very apprehensive about becoming Muslim. The concentration on the trivial matters of the religion, like wearing makeup, having dreadlocks or having locks in their head, and, all of these things that we, on an individual basis. I don't think that we should be putting that out there on social media, you know, in an attempt to, you know, in an attempt to show that these things are haram. And we have to weigh the pros and cons of things like that, man. We have to weigh the pros and cons of things like that before we put them out into the atmosphere, because we don't know who we are chasing away from Islam. I literally feel horrible, man, that this brother had to ask, you know, I have locks and, you know, I don't know if I can become a Muslim because I have locks. It's like, are you serious? Are you serious? We literally have non-Muslims questioning whether or not they can become a Muslim because they have locks. So we're telling people that they have to cut their locks first before they become Muslim? And people should be ashamed of themselves, man. People should be ashamed of themselves in their attempt to show this is haram, you can't do this, you can't do that. And their attempt to show how knowledgeable they are of Islam, you don't even realize that you are chasing people away from Islam. You don't even realize that you are chasing people away from Islam. And I literally feel horrible, man, that, you know, he had to ask a question like that, man. So, you said a sister wanted to revert to Islam. If she wants to convert to Islam, please have her come on the live. Please have her send me a request on the live so we can give her shahada now, or you can give her shahada. Either or. I don't necessarily have to give her shahada. You can give her shahada wherever she is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. If you know that there's someone that is interested in becoming Muslim, alhamdulillah, we had 2 people. One who I'm going to give shahada after the live is over, and one who took shahada today. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. If she is here, then she can send me a request to come on the live, or one of you guys can give her shahada. Or better yet, have her email me, imamshadidmuhammad@gmail. Have her email me, and then I'll pass her over to one of the sisters who will give her the shahada, inshallah. All right? Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all for listening. And please make dua that, you know, that we have more opportunities to be inviting, right? Understand that people are looking for guidance. People are looking to be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our job is to make the connection. We are just the plug. That's it. We are just the plug to help people connect. That's it. It's not my job to control your journey. That's not my job to tell you this or that, or, you know, have you follow me. That's not my job. My job is to connect you to God, and then let you, you know, and put you on the path to make that happen, and then let you decide how far you want to go in that journey, what pace you want to move. That's all on you. Shahada Sundays. Well, we don't want to make it a thing. That sounds awesome. The only thing that I fear with doing Shahada Sundays is that it becomes like commercial. You know what I mean? Like, I am anti-commercial. I'm pro-authentic, pro-organic. So just let it happen naturally. Let it happen naturally. All right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.